Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening and welcome to Red Sox Digest, where the Sox are hotter than a Navarro's fastball and the sarcasm is smoother than a Giolito post-game interview. Tonight we're going to celebrate a 6-game win streak, a 10-2 thumping of the Colorado Rockies, the return of Masataka Yoshida, which means one thing: Nick Diamond is smiling. That's right, Yoshida's biggest fan is in the booth tonight with us, and I also am joined by Nick Face, the man who has more Roman Anthony takes than Roman Anthony has extra base hits. I'm your host, Jim Dalfino. Let's dive in. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
You can't complain coming off a 6-game win streak, even against a terrible team, but very happy.
Nick Face?
We took care of business. Who was that who had that song? Bad Company, Taking Care of Business? Is that their song? Exactly what we hoped for when the National Series hit and when the Rockies series hit. They did it. You can't say from back in April, oh, they can't beat a bad team anymore. They did it. They completed the task.
Yeah, I mean, 6 games in a row, to your points. I mean, it's great that we can rattle those off, but let's look at it from this face value. So 2 out of 3 from the Reds, right? And then 6 games straight. I mean, this is what you should do, 8-2, right? So, I mean, you've got to be able to do something like that. If you're going to compete and if you're going to have a chance for a playoff spot, you have to have a record like that. I mean, anything less would pretty much be excusable. To lose even one game to a team like the Colorado Rockies is just ridiculous. So you got to be happy if you're a Red Sox fan exactly where you are right now. And, you know, to make matters a little bit sweeter, you do have a playoff spot right now. What are your thoughts? Nick Diamond, you first.
Like you brought up about the Rockies, it's embarrassing to lose a game to that team. It's just going back tonight, that little dribbler up the middle with Jarren Duran, I think it was the first batter of the game where the shortstop screwed it up. I think it was Orlando Arcia, and the center fielder overran it, and they just didn't care. So, like you said, losing one game to the Rockies is embarrassing. They came in here and they kicked their butts. They scored like 10 runs, 8 runs every game. Big run differential series here. So they did exactly what they needed to do, crushed them. They made them look like a minor league team, and I'm very happy going forward, at least to the break right now.
Yeah, awesome. I want to talk
the biggest
first.
thing, I was going to say for me, the biggest thing I hope that this translates into is confidence. You can beat up on all the bad teams you want. We need to see the translation. We need to see now what happens in this Tampa series. I almost feel in a way like this upcoming 4-game series is like a playoff series in a way. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this upcoming stretch here for the Sox as they close out the first half. Definitely am.
Yeah, absolutely. Start off with Lucas Giolito. Tonight, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned. What do you have 1 earned run? I'm not quite sure. Was it 1 earned run? No,
he didn't give up a run. 0 earned.
7 strikeouts, I believe. He's now 6-1 on the season. He has a total of 72 2/3 innings pitched on the season. I think a 3.36 ERA, a WHIP of 126, 65 strikeouts. His last 6 starts, 5-0, 0.02 ERA, 38 Ks, and just 4 earned runs in 35 innings. He's on a 2-year deal for $38.5 million. There is an option that gets triggered if he pitches 145 innings this season. So he's going to need about 72 plus innings more to reach that goal. What are your thoughts on, have we kind of found our number 2 starter now? And, you know, would you want him back if he is close to that 145 innings pitch total? Nick Face, you first.
Yeah, yes, I do. I see a guy that's coming off as Tommy John is finding himself again. I don't usually go off stats a lot, but I want to stat Masterson you guys here with a couple things here on Giolito. So Giolito is the first Red Sox pitcher to go 6 innings or more with 2 or fewer runs allowed in 6 straight outings. Do you guys know who it is? Since who? It's kind of shocking.
So If you said it's shocking, I would have gone with like Pedro or Chris Sale right off the top.
It's a 2018 pitcher for the Red Sox.
Nate Eovaldi.
It's not Nate. I thought it was going to be Nate, but it's not. This is a stunner.
Price?
It's David Price.
Unbelievable.
So that right there. And then Giolito, I think, Jim, you were kind of getting to it over his last few starts, but over his last 6 starts now, it's 38.2 innings pitched. It's 24 hits, 3 earned runs, 10 walks, and 36 Ks.
Wow.
It's just absolutely dominance right now. And it's kind of surprising because I don't think we expected this. I think we expected rust. I think we expected more him trying to figure out how to be a major league pitcher again. I mean, it takes a lot when you have Tommy John surgery to lose a season, sometimes more, and come back and pitch again and be dominant. And he has done that. I remember that Seattle start with Giolito, and I think that was kind of the trigger on him stepping into a role here and wanting to be that guy behind Crochet. I really think that was our turning point right there, was against the Mariners. And it's really been cruise control since then. I'm very happy with it. I would 100% welcome him back right now. He's showing he's healthy. What more could you want? He's my number 2 guy right now.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I was watching, him pretty critically for at least a good couple innings, in between doing a few things tonight when I first got home late. He was painting that four-seam fastball. I mean, down and in to right-handed batters. He looked really, really good. I mean, he was crisp. It was a great outing. And, he was all smiles throughout the game. So he's got to be feeling good. Arm's got to be feeling good. I'm at the point now where I trust him. If he's going to be, if we have a 5-game series for a playoff game and he's going to be my number 2 starter, I feel pretty good going into that. Nick Diamond, your reactions?
First off, I'd like to say I prefer him as 3, but I do think he's fully back. I think he's back to his top form where he was when the White Sox in like 2020, 2021, when he was dominating. I think he's back. Like you said, he's been painting. Even that start against the Nationals, I think he looked dominant. Like he was throwing 96 up in the zone. They couldn't catch up to it. I think it plays up. One thing I do want to bring up is you brought up the clause in his contract where if he only pitches under a certain amount of innings, he has that $14 million option where that automatically vests. I think tonight he had one more in him, and they took him out because of that. It's one of the first thoughts I had. I think they want him back.
I thought that too.
I think it was at 90 pitches, and I really think he was cruising. I think he could have gone 7. I know the game. I think it got to 5-2 at that point, and the Red Sox just kind of blew him out. It got to 10-2 at the end in that inning. But, yeah, I really think he had the 7th inning in him, and it was a innings manipulation tactic by Red Sox, Cora or Breslow, whoever made that call. I think it was inning manipulation tactic. Because he was running right through that lineup, and he could have gone 7-8, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. He needs 12 more starts of 6 innings per start to kind of, reach and trigger that. But, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. If they feel that, he had a really good year, they could always bring him back. I mean, they could work something out with another 2-year deal if they felt like that's what they wanted to do. So even if the option will not trigger, they could still bring him back on something if he liked it here, and then, money talks. I wanted to move on. Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
There's one thing I can't stand on him. You guys want to take a guess, or do you want me to just blurt it out?
Sure.
I can't stand Dave O'Brien continuing to talk about his goddamn acting family and his career. Enough of it.
Yeah.
I want to watch a baseball game.
It gets a little old. Absolutely.
If he wants to be at Fenway Theater, have the family go and perform at the new center they have behind the stadium at their own time. I want to watch the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave O'Brien's bad in his own thing. He's terrible.
Don't get me started.
But, yeah.
Don't get me started. I'll get
a lot of beef
on the line
with
right
O'Brien.
now.
I'm not a Dave O'Brien fan either.
He was so bothered last night about going to the bathroom on the Green Monster.
Masataka Yoshida returns. The contact bat, the chaos ensues. Activated today, missing 90 due to a shoulder surgery at a labral tear. In 2025, he had 5 rehab games, I believe. between AA and AAA, went 4 for 14 with 3 RBIs. It looks like he's going to be the DH against righties, with Ref Schneider handling DH with lefties. The biggest thing here is what's going to happen with the lineup. I mean, you saw Roman Anthony shifting to left field tonight, which we kind of think is where he's going to wind up ending up, for the majority of his career. But now Cora has to juggle Duran, Rafaela, who was out today, which I really didn't agree with that, but I understand players need days off. Obviously, Wilyer Abreu, Ref Snyder, and Yoshida. So for 5 people against 3 outfield spots and a DH. Does his return bring some balance to this lineup, or does it just force Cora to play musical chairs? Nick Face, you're first.
Oh, it's definitely musical chairs time. Absolutely. I'm stunned. He went 3 for 4 tonight and showed us all never to hate on the man again. I mean, one of them, yes, was a questionable kind of roller to second base, and it snuck through. I think, Jim, you were tweeting me about that as the game goes up. Just another one of those. I definitely think that he teed up. I think he definitely teed up the ball tonight with your head and Nick's head and said, screw you both for calling me out, and wanted to prove it to you. And what a night to return. What a night to return. But this is going to be a land of musical chairs. And I tweeted before the game came out, I was not happy about Rafaela sitting tonight. There was chatter about Ceddanne Rafaela moving to second base to get him into the lineup more. Alex Cora said they've talked about it. They haven't made that execution and plan yet to come to friction. I don't love that because you take away a premier glove in the outfield. However, I need to also state the fact that I like Roman Anthony in left field a lot. If you got to keep Duran, and I think you do, because right now with the team at its cusp right now with chemistry and everything, and you strip him away from this fan base, I think that they are going to be banging the doors down, whether we like it or not. So I think you're going to start to see more Duran in center. I really do. And then you're going to see Wilyer Abreu staying right. You'll rotate Yoshida and Ref Snyder around. And that's going to mean, I think, we're going to be seeing Ceddanne Rafaela in the infield here. And it could be to spell Trevor Story for some days and at second base. Now, the main question here. I also tweeted this. I hate this. I don't like this whatsoever. But Marcelo Mayer is going to be going back to Worcester because there's no spot. There's none. And I think they're going to have him go down there. And from that old game show, you are the weakest link. He is the weakest link, and he's going back to Worcester. That's my take. That's how I feel. I don't love it, though.
Nick Diamond, your reaction to that?
Good for Yoshida tonight, going 3 for 4. I think he had an RBI. It was the one ground ball to second base that got through was his RBI. But I don't think it's coincidence right now that Jarren Duran's getting extremely hot as soon as these trade rumors start popping up and Yoshida's coming back. I prefer Jarren Duran in the lineup every day. I really do. Whether it's in center field or left field, I think he's better than Yoshida. He gives you more upside. He can steal bases. I know the defense has been horrible lately, but I still think he provides more upside. And I want him to stay on this team. Now, what do you do with Yoshida? I've made it clear I think I DFA him. I don't care. But that's not going to happen. He went 3 for 4 tonight, so I'm not mad about it. But I think that's the move you have to make is just get rid of Yoshida. You put your best team on the field, which is Duran in left, in my opinion, and Ceddanne Rafaela in center, and then you rotate that DH between Roman Anthony and the other guys. I think Duran can DH. I think Wilyer can DH one night. The only guy I wouldn't DH is Ceddanne Rafaela. I would put him in center field. I wouldn't move him. He's been so good out there, and I agree with Nick. What he's saying about Rafael playing second base. I think it will happen, but I don't think it should happen. I'd rather see Jarren Duran at second base. Does that make any sense?
It's a good point. That's what he played in college.
He came up as a second baseman.
He was drafted as a second baseman. I'd rather see Jarren Duran at second base than Rafael at second base.
Yeah.
And that might be insane to say, but I just think that's a better team. You know?
Yeah. Dave O'Brien hinted that Marcelo Mayer would be playing second base. I don't know if that's the plan going forward or that was his thoughts.
Nick also said about Mayer being the weak man out or whatever. I think David Hamilton's the weak man out. But if you want to send Mayer down and get him every day at bats, I don't think I'll be upset at this point. He's not going to get every day at bats in the major leagues. Bregman is, and Rafael might take second base over. So I'm okay with saying Mayer down. I'm also okay with trading him if it gets you Joe Ryan. If you get Joe Ryan, Mayer is on the trade block.
Yeah, that's a great thing, too. I mean, Joe Ryan has a couple of years left, so there's a big difference there. But, it's getting to the point where we just don't know no one's really kind of like breaking out and saying, there's no way that you can send me back down. I mean, Roman Anthony, without saying, but, Marcel, I could see Mayer making the cut, and I could also see him being brought down. I mean, the bottom line is, however you look at it, he needs to get reps each and every day. He can't be just a platoon player off the bench for Alex Cora at this stage of his career. And I understand that you want to play hot hands, and some people have tweeted back at me and say, Rafi Devers, he was a utility guy, or he was swapped, in platoon when he first came up. And all that's true, but I just think, like, as a number one pick in the draft and a guy that we've had been shoved down our throats for the last 4 seasons, he needs to play every day. And if he's not going to get that opportunity at the major league level, then, send him back down, have him work on some things, and see if maybe he can be brought back up in September. Moving along, Alex Bregman is due to be coming back possibly this weekend. There's been a little bit of talk of maybe even tomorrow, but I think Cora has now said it will be this weekend. But it sounds like they want to get him back in prior to, obviously, the All-Star break. He's been out since May 23 with this strain. He hasn't had any rehab assignment outside of the work that we've seen him being done at Fenway Park from different videos on Twitter and so forth. But before he was injured, he was batting .299, 11 home runs, 35 RBIs, a .938 OPS, and he was playing primarily every game at third base. He's expected to be this weekend, and as a result, kind of like what we were talking about before, you've got Mayer, you've got David Hamilton. Who is going to be – does David Hamilton going to make this cut? Because I can't understand with a guy batting .178 and a 32% K rate can continue to be on this club. Nick Face, your thoughts on Bregman's return and what kind of shuffle?
It needs to be David Hamilton. It does. Like we've said repeatedly here, witness protection program or whatever, David Hamilton has for staying on this roster. I mean, he's like the cat with 9 lives. He keeps surviving no matter what it is. They love that guy. As Lou Maloney said the other night, he's the weapon. Well, he steals bases. That's all he does to me. I think come playoff time, Jim, you hit on this perfectly. He's great. They want him to be the Dave Roberts off the bench. Fantastic. But right now, to me, he's useless. I even looked at tonight and said, why the hell are you in the lineup? I'd rather see Cede and Rafaela play and put somebody else at second. Heck, I would have rather have seen Romy Gonzalez at second base. I know Nick doesn't like that. And put Toro at first base. I don't want to see David Hamilton anymore. I'm done. He got a hit tonight. Congrats. Now DFA him and get him out of my life. It's going to be Marcelo Mayer, though, guys. I'm just telling you right now. They're going to chalk it up to there's no room to play. They got to get more reps for him down in Worcester. They got to do that whole song and dance and make it feel, oh, we're so sorry. We have no room for this guy. We got to do this, and David Hamilton will survive yet again. I would so much rather prefer, we didn't talk about this in the last segment, I'd rather Trevor Story out of here and Marcelo Myers my shortstop right now. Right now. Find a team. Take him. Get him out of my life too, Trevor Story. Because I'm telling you one thing, Trevor Story, you're going to see this series coming down, and you can put words in my mouth for it. Trevor Story is not going to have a very good series against the Rays. He's not. He's going to beat up on the bad ones, and it's going to go back to Troublesville, USA for Trevor Story.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but too, coming off the All-Star break, we've got some really tough competition, right? Including the Phillies and so forth. So, we can celebrate now, but this weekend is going to be a really tough series because you are facing a team that is in a playoff contention spot and they've got to be able to show that they can take the Rays. I mean, 2-2 is probably the worst that we can accept, in this 4-game series. Nick Diamond, your reactions.
One more thing I want to bring up. I know Nick Face just said I think you could DFA David Hamilton. I think you just send him down. I think he still has options. You don't even have to DFA the guy.
Yeah, you can
just send him down.
I just want him out of my life.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how I feel.
At that point, if you want to keep him and bring him back up in September for a playoff roster, if that gets to that, you can. You can send him down and bring him back. The thing about Marcelo Mayer, why I had to keep him, is his defense is significantly better than anyone else besides like Alex Bregman at this point, anywhere in the infield. At third base, he's so much better than Nate Eaton ever was. He's way better than Rafael Devers ever was. He's better than Trevor Story at this point. He could throw the ball to first base. I would keep Mayer even if he isn't playing every day because I want the best players on my team. Looking forward to that Rays series, I think 2-2 is probably the worst you can accept. The Rays haven't been playing good in their last 10. They've won 3 out of the last 10, so they're 3-7 in their last 10. So you might be catching them at a good time. But I still kind of agree with Nick Face here. I don't think Trevor Story is going to have a great series against good pitching. I think he did tee off against bad Nationals pitching when you missed Mackenzie Gore, and then you go to the Rockies where you have 3 of the worst pitchers I've ever seen. Kyle Freeland has like a 5.8. The guy tonight, Santos Zella or whatever, had like a 6.6. So you face some bad pitching. Trevor Story teed off. I gave him some credit last night for having a good year, but I still kind of agree with Nick Face. I would rather have Marcelo Mayer there full-time, let him develop. But at this point, you got to kind of run with the hot hand. If he's hot, you let him keep playing. So I would play him until he falls off the end of the cliff, which I think he will eventually. But, I think Marcelo Mayer is the future there if he's not traded.
Looking ahead to this Rays series starting tomorrow night, we have Walker Buehler, which is he's supposed to pitch against Bradley tomorrow at 7:10. Then we have, I don't know if we have a starter. I'm looking at ESPN's.
It's Hunter Dobbins.
Is it going to be Dobbins?
It is Dobbins. Yeah, it is.
So it'll be Dobbins against Drew Rasmussen, Garrett Crochet against Shane Baz, and then we are going to finish it off with a Brian Bayo against Papoy. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Ryan.
I think that's right. Papoy, something like that.
So
if you remember, Shane Baz carved us up last time. I think he had like 10 or 11 Ks. So that'll be an interesting game, Crochet versus Baz.
Yeah, that's probably the best matchup and probably the matchup of the weekend. But I think that based on what we've seen here with Buehler, he's coming off a fair outing. Again, it wasn't against great competition. But if he can build off of that in some way, I think there's a possibility that we could maybe win the Crochet game and the Brian Bayo game. But I am worried a little bit about that Shane Baz. He is a really good pitcher, and he really can really strike out a lot. Nick Diamond, what's your thoughts for the upcoming series? What do you expect?
I know you said Walker Buehler had like an okay start last time. I didn't think it was okay. He had 2 strikeouts. He had like 7 or 8 whiffs. I don't think he looked good against a very bad team. He gave up 3 runs. I think only 2 were earned. I might be wrong. But I still don't think he looked great. He didn't walk anybody, which was really a big deal for him, because I think he walked like 7 in the last outing before that. But I think that's a guaranteed loss at this point tomorrow. Walker Buehler coming off 6 straight. I think that's a loss. Hopefully you take 2 in the middle with Crochet and maybe Bayo at the end. But I'd be okay with 2 out of 2, honestly. 2-2 here. I would be okay with that going to the break. You're 4 games over. And I think that's what's going to happen, honestly. I think you win that Crochet start. Hopefully you score 2 or 3 runs off of Baz and Crochet shoves. But coming off the last 2 starts of Crochet, you might have a little bit of an issue there because he's not been great, honestly. But I think he's okay. I'm okay with him being fine. I think he's fine. So I'll go 2-2 if we want to make a prediction there, but it's going to be a risky series. And if you get like swept or you lose 3 out of 4, you might be selling. So it's going to be crazy. I hope you take 2. I would love 3, but you're not sweeping that series. There's no way you sweep that series.
No, it's hard to sweep a 4-game series even against bad competition. Nick Face, your reactions, your thoughts for this weekend series?
I mean, the vibes are the highest they've been right now. They are. The team is on their biggest win streak they've had of the season. Everybody's feeling really good about themselves. The worst thing that can happen here is for these vibes to be crushed. That's the worst thing. If you split, I think we're going to be okay. But if you lose 3 out of 4 or you get swept here, are you in trouble? Especially going into the All-Star break and having to sit on that for a week? No, thank you. Jim, when you were saying the matchups for the series, when you were saying Buehler versus Bradley, I was actually a little nervous there. I didn't know if you were going to go into the bucket when you were saying Buehler's throwing tomorrow. My condolences for you there with having to say that. I'd have to do the same thing. There's no chance in hell tomorrow Buehler is going to have a good start. No way. I am still not feeling good after that start against the Nationals. And the biggest point we have to make sure we remember that Buehler got his ass saved in that second inning by Jarren Duran on that masterful catch in left field to tell me that he can play left field, just to show us all up. But it very well could have been another implosion by Buehler this past, was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday. Or was it Sunday? I can't remember. One of those days.
He had the middle
Dobbins
game Saturday.
He had the middle game? Okay, so it was the Saturday one. Dobbins' game is the question mark because you don't really know what to expect. It's like when Dick Fitz threw. You have no clue. You really don't. You hope he can give you 5, 6, 3 runs or less. That's my desire. That's what I'm hoping that he can do. We need to see Crochet shove on Saturday afternoon. We need to see it because it's been 2 or 3 questionable outings that we need to get him back on track. So I want to see, number 1, Narvaez catching him. That's my biggest ask. Please, for the love of God, Narvaez needs to be catching against Crochet. And then number 2, I want to see how the location and command looks. That's the biggest thing that I think's been off with him. Too much tinkering. I want to make sure we have confidence, so that's why with Carlos Narvaez, I want to make sure he puts down a signal, he's telling him what to go with, there's no shaking off. There's full trust. I want to see that. Bayo, I'm still crushed on that 2-run shot that he gave up last night with that complete game, but that was a huge outing for him, and again, on that confidence-building season for him. Let's finish this first half on a positive note there. I feel it's going to be exactly as Nick said, 2-2 is what I go for this series. 2 games for the Rays, 2 for the Sox.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I'm going 2-2 as well. I think you can steal one of those first 2 games. I feel most confident, obviously, in the last 2 with Crochet and with Bayo. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. They're all right-handers, so you'll get a lot of lefties in the lineup, and it'll be interesting to see how Bregman fits into this and when he comes back, what we're going to be doing at second base. But you're only going to get better with Bregman in the lineup than versus where you are now, in my opinion. So we'll see how all that plans out. One of the things that I've always looked at, Thayer would attest to this too. We talked about this for many, many years. When you're looking at will the Red Sox make the playoffs? I always looked at the idea that you had to win 15 ball games a month. 15 a month would get you 90 wins for a total, and that was even before this, the third wild card was in existence. So at 49 wins right now, you need 11 more for this month. You have 4 against Tampa Bay. After the break, 3 against the Cubs, 3 against the Phillies, 3 against the Dodgers, and 3 against Minnesota. It's a rough climb to be able to find 11 more wins out of those 16. It's going to be tough, but it's going to make or break whether you're going to be a buyer or seller. And to Nick Diamond's point, if they trash this weekend and go 1-3 or 0-4, if they go 0-4, I think you've got to wave the white flag. But if they go 2-2, I'm okay with it. If they go 3-1, I'm happy as a clam. But if they go 1-3, I'm not going to be feeling really, really good about it, especially when you're going to have another 9-game series of teams that, are all going to be in the playoffs. So if you go out and go 6-3 against those teams, you're going to feel really, really good about your chances. But man, that's going to be a big, big week of 9 games, 2 weeks, and that's going to tell us whether we're going to be buyers or sellers for sure. What are your thoughts finishing off the month? any last-minute thoughts before we wrap up today as well. Nick Diamond, you first.
One more thing I wanted to bring up. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Garrett Crochet was originally scheduled to start on Friday and was pushed back to Saturday for Hunter Dobbins. So I think the Red Sox have noticed some sort of fatigue, so they pushed him back a day. I also think it might be something to do with the All-Star game. They don't want him to pitch there. I don't want him to pitch there either. I want him to have that 3-4 day off and just not pitch at all. He technically can pitch if he didn't pitch on Sunday, but hopefully he just foregoes it and goes home and hangs out for 3 or 4 days. Final thoughts with that 9-10 game stretch against, I think, the Phillies, the Cubs, and who was it? The Twins?
Twins are at the end of the month. Yeah, we have the don't we have the Dodgers?
It was Dodgers, Phillies, Cubs.
The Dodgers are
the division.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers are 0-6 in the last 6 games, so we might be getting them at a good time. But I'd be totally happy with 500 there in that stretch. Just go 500, get to the break, get to the not the break, the trade deadline, 4 or 5 games over, and I think you can go for it. But anything less than that, I think you probably should sell. Just being realistic. I think you need to be 4 to 5 games over to go for it.
Yeah, agree. Nick Face, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't like to look ahead too far, but that August 1st, we have the Houston Astros too. So it doesn't lay up after the end of the month. So it's going to be a grind. Then we go to San Diego, so we're going to be in Padreville the following weekend. So this is going to be quite the ride. But this is going to be the telltale sign this upcoming weekend here against the Rays to figure out, is the team going to be buyers or are they going to be sellers? We have to see them up against good competition, compete, do well, see some sort of I'm not expecting the offense to be what it was during this at all. I just cannot stomach going back and reverting to 10-plus strikeouts a game. We're losing, 1-0, 3-2, stuff like that. We can't revert back to that. And if it does revert back to that, that's just going to say, well, they beat up against the bad teams and they're just not good enough. So I'm not at the stage now to say that this is a playoff team yet. I'm not there. I can't be there right now. I need to see more.
Yeah, I mean, look, the overall bottom line here is this a team that can beat up bad teams, or is this a team that has turned the corner and is now going to make some sort of run here that makes it look like they've figured it all out? Rafael Devers is gone. There's better chemistry in the dugout, on the team. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation to all of that. But what I can tell you is that it's been a great 9 games. If they can continue this, I think they can get into a playoff spot. I think they can even challenge for the division, if they have a really good span against those teams at the end of July. But that's really kind of like, wishful thinking at this point. So hopefully they'll go 2-2, 3-1 against the Rays this weekend. And, we'll be here to cover it. So I'd like to thank both Nick and Nick being on tonight's show. And for everybody listening, this will be
Nick
up
at night.
Nick at night. This will be up on all the social media platforms. We had a little issue with Twitter tonight, unfortunately. So I will post this. It'll also be available for download, as they always are. Please go ahead and subscribe online to our digital product. It's getting really popular. We have a new segment on there as well, kind of a history of the Boston Red Sox. We're doing 1975 right now. Thayer Doyle is heading that. Some really good publications about that season. And it is redsoxdigest.com. And we will see you all tomorrow night. Have a good night, everybody.